Welcome to More Business, More Life podcast. And today our guest is Jovanni Casaus. He's been on the show before, but we wanted to officially do this. We're doing this with all of our team members and bring them on and talk about why they're part of our company. Because Jovanni Casaus is our program director, and he manages so many different things with our company when it comes to programming. So even this show, he helps me produce it, and then many, many other things. And we want to talk about his life from where he left a dead-end job, moved to California, so doing so many new things all at the same time to progress into his entrepreneurial success and then joining our company. Let's explore the journey together. All right, welcome back to the show, Jovanni.
It's good to be back and in front of the camera.
Beautiful. I know he's here with me most of these podcasts, and sometimes just in the background helping us, and always in the background helping. And that's what this whole podcast is about. The other podcast, we were talking about different business things when he's been on the podcast, but today we're talking about him being a part of this team, why he chose to be a part of this company. And then he is in the background. And we actually have been having this funny saying, I'll ask Jovanni, I'm like, hey, we need to do this. And Giovanni's like, oh, it's already done. And so we're thinking about getting a Jovanni t-shirt. It's already done. But I just want to express my gratitude having you on the team, brother. It's, you make this company brighter and move us forward. And it's beautiful to have you.
It's great being on the team. I love it, man. If I didn't love it, I wouldn't be here. So
that it is all about wow team. And I guess with that, that's kind of what this show's all about. I guess I'm exploring why you chose to be a part of this team, and then what are the unique things that bringing us all together allows us to, one of our sayings is together. That's our one of our core values. And, together, many hands make light work. Together, we're going to be able to go farther. There's so many things, but I guess, first and foremost, why did you choose to be a part of this company?
Oh, man. What a question. We would have to go back in time. So allow yourself, Steve, to go back in time.
Let's do it.
To 2014, when I first saw you speak at a local gig in San Mateo. Everything you were saying then and now really resonated with me. And we kind of talked about this on a previous podcast when it was you and I talking, that, I always thought I was I thought I was stupid, that I was a lazy worker, that for something was wrong with me because I couldn't work at those regular 9-to-5 jobs. I would go insane, right? I'm pretty a happy-go-lucky person, and I remember one job I had, I was just so miserable. Somebody actually asked me hey, are you okay? It was going into my regular life, how you can kind of segment life, your business life, and regular life, but when it started bleeding in, you're miserable at work and you're miserable in your regular life, that's how I was getting. And I was just man, I'm not cut out for this. What's wrong with me? I can't. My mom's a really good worker. My brother, most of the people I know are really good workers, they put their time in, all sort of stuff. And it's what is wrong with me? I can't do this. And so I thought there was something wrong with me for the longest time, man. I kid you not, up until the last probably 6 years of being here in California. And then, I said, meeting you, you're talking about more business, more life. And I had just started my photography business. And I was just oh my gosh, you're not supposed to work hundreds of hours and be stressed out, and there's another way. And I was just oh my gosh. And everything you were saying, and it was just funny, the story you tell of your mentor when he was on stage, and the guy who's pulling the arrow and just shooting at, I was oh my gosh, the story you're telling is the story that I'm feeling right now. And I was super excited, and your energy, and I was oh my gosh, this guy is cool. And I didn't have the money to work with you at the time, and I was but as as an entrepreneur, right, you always find a way. I'm always asking myself, okay, how else can I get there? What else can I do? Okay, if I can't get this way, so it's okay, I don't have the money, but what value could I provide to you? And I was hey man, I don't really have any money, but is there a way we can trade or something, And you were so willing, and I'm so grateful that you were, but that you ended up working with me, and I was just oh my gosh, yes. And so fast forward to today, it's the same thing. I've been around you for 4 or 5 years or something like that. And like it's everything's still the same. I'm still hyped about the message. And I believe even more that like you shouldn't be working like crazy hours. Like I personally, I believe life isn't about working. Like I think work, whether it's your own business or you're working for somebody, should just be a means to help you live the life that you want. It shouldn't be the reason why you're working, or however that saying goes, right? Um, so like I love the message that you're preaching. I love the energy and the vibe that you put out to people. You're authentic, you're genuine, which is unfortunately hard to come by these days with with speakers and coaches and the world, unfortunately. So those are the main reasons why I'm here, man.
Well, that's awesome. And having all of these things that have come into your life in the last 5 years or so, what is having had that do for you?
I mean, honestly, like I before meeting you, I was already on this personal development kick, right? I was like I think early or no 2001, when was it, like early 2000s somewhere. I had saw the movie, which was actually a book, The Secret, right?
Mm-hmm.
First the book, then like the little movie. I was like,
Yep.
oh, this is fascinating. So that kind of started me on my journey. But then like once I started meeting you, it was like, and the NLP that you use to help people, I was like, wow, I have a lot of like limiting beliefs I wasn't even aware of, right? I wanted to, to hit a certain level for the longest time, but like I think without meeting you, I wouldn't have known that those were there for like a longer time. Like it would have taken me longer, right? So like even today, I might still not be aware of them and be like still like struggling, like, oh man, I don't know how to run a business. I don't know how to do this. Like all those limiting beliefs, like I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, like all that stuff would still be back there, and I wouldn't know why I wasn't accomplishing the stuff that I want to accomplish, right? And so it's it's meant a lot, not just the business teachings, because like I don't know how many times I've heard all of your stuff, and each time I'm like, oh yeah, that okay, I got to do that next. Like, and it's we went through the workshop we just went with somebody, one of the um, participants was saying, like I've done this class a couple of times, and each time, it's something new. And she's like, you said it multiple times, but it's like each time you hear it, you're just at a different stage in your life, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, the biggest thing has been the mindset shift, and continues to be the biggest thing, because I think you said it right. Like you have a recipe that works, right? If you just follow the recipe, and if something happens and the cake blows up in your face, where somebody next to you just created the most beautiful cake in the world and tastes delicious, and then your cake is falling apart and looks like mud and all sorts, like what was the difference? If you both had the same recipe, what was the difference? And it always comes down to your mindset and your beliefs, and whether you know what those beliefs are or not. And so that's been like the biggest thing for me is the help with the mindset.
It's so you're so on with this, and this is the same journey that I was on, because I was always seeking how to do it better and being entrepreneurial my whole adult life. And it was in the same regard as you when I started finding and uncovering those, and many of them were subconscious. So not having that awareness, it's hard for us to look in the mirror and see what could be different inside of ourselves, even if we desire it. And then having those coaches or consultants that came into my life and started sharing that with me and moving it on, and that made all the breakthroughs. And that's what allowed me to say, okay, why would I not bring that into my business? And I think that's one thing that makes our company unique, is that we are business consultants and strategists. In fact, we were really good at it, and we help people make millions of dollars, literally. And we also then when that recipe works for one person and they go make millions of dollars, and then the recipe doesn't work for someone else, and it's the same thing that we know works, then we have all these tools to say, hey, wait a minute, let's go fix that. And it's not necessarily fixing, I never, and you know this now, Jovanni, but like, just to be clear for all the listeners, that you're not broken. Like, in fact, the strategies that you have are the strategies that are there to allow and for your life. So really, the one thing that what's different about us as well, and this really comes from Carl Buchheit, one that's now become a mutual teacher. So like, my first big mentor was a master practitioner taught by Carl Buchheit. Then I went and learned. Then you learned from me. Then you went and learned from Carl. So that's one thing about our company, is that we're bringing a lot of Carl's work into this around neurolinguistics, around family systemic patterns, and so many other modalities. But the idea is that it's much different than many other companies or modalities where you like, I see coaches out there and you try to break down what doesn't work for you, like the inner fight some people talk about, and you have to like fight yourself, the inner battle to win. And that's not how we work. The way we work is that we honor what is, because there was a personal strategy for that, or a family systemic strategy that allowed us to be who we are. And then some of those things no longer work for us. They might have worked for us when we were a kid or even a young adult, but then now we need a new strategy. And these things are subconscious, like you said, Jovanni. So the one thing to throw back to you is, everyone that I help, and then you're giving me all these kudos, and thank you for that. And I'm so glad that I've been a big part of your life. And now I'm glad you're a big part of my life. The fact is that you have had the desire to want that change. And I always say there's three things that it takes for us to work together and be able to have help. Number one, you have to want change or more in your life, which you've always had. Number two, you wanted to, well, I don't know about always, but always since I've known you, you've always had that drive. Number two, you took action. And even though you call yourself lazy sometimes, but you take action, and especially the ones that you desire the most, you take those action. And then third, to be coachable, to be able to be led or guided. And you did that as well. And in all of that, that's what's brought you here. And just to even brag on you, like, you wouldn't have the success you have now, you wouldn't be in the position you are now if you didn't do that. So our relationship's been a team effort. And now another awesome thing about having you on the team here and part of my company is that you've gone through, and now you're a master practitioner in the modalities that I've been working with. And and that's a big thing about our company, coming back to this whole thing, is that we can be business strategists, but we can also help you with the inner game so that you can honor yourself, thank yourself. And that's why it's choose gratitude, create freedom. And that comes from being grateful about yourself and honoring it instead of fighting it. Saying, honor, thank you for being this, and now I would like something new. It's kind of like, when you get a new car or something else, we can be thankful that car got us around and got us to all the things we want to do. But then it's like, okay, it's time to retire you and get a new car. But we don't have to, be so mean to that first car or mean to ourselves, So I guess, for you, the fact that you bring this up as being one of the big factors is what makes that combo deal, and what our company does different. And so I guess for you, like, just to see your perspective, how do you see that with our company, that we bring both those things, and like what you've seen with yourself and our clients, like, how do you see that differences between other coaching consultants and then being able to have all of these modalities mixed into one, I guess?
Yeah, that's funny. It's funny you asked that question, because like in my head, I was kind of going over it just like kind of randomly. But it's like, in today's world, literally you can figure out how to do anything in seconds. Google, whatever search engine you use, you can literally find out how to do something. And so information I don't think is no longer the main barrier for people. And I think if we really looked at most people who are looking for a coach or something, they already have the what they need to be successful, right? It's not another strategy, it's not another tactic, because you can look those up and spend years finding a new tactic or new strategy. And some might help you get a little bit closer to what you wanted, but it doesn't matter about that, because it's all about your mindset. Because the stories that I've heard, from Carl and Michelle is, people who've made millions and then all of a sudden lose it all, right?
Right.
Or people who can't even get to the millions and then lose it all, or whatever the story may be. Like there's like a limit, there's a belief there that's causing them, like maybe they have this belief that, yeah, making money is super easy and they make money really quickly, but then they have this belief that they're not good enough for the money, or that money's bad, or that if they have all this money, then their parents won't love them, or whatever it is, and so they have to lose it all, right?
Which might be subconscious too.
Exactly, yeah, and they have no clue. But it's interesting once you start learning about this stuff, and you can just like, oh my gosh, yeah, like just opens up your mind. So I think for me, what it is about our company is that it's it's well, it's funny enough, the strategies are a little bit different than what other people will teach you, because we put this element, or you put this element in it, right? So it's looking at sales at a completely different way. Like before with meeting with you and working with you, I always thought sales were that icky. I always thought of the car salesman, which is unfortunate that car salesmen have that, that MO. But that's what I always thought, that pushy salesperson and whatever, just like push, push, push. And I'm like, I don't want to be that person. My photography business, when people would, say, oh, hey, yeah, I'm interested in headshots. You're like, yeah, and I'll tell them about it. And I'm like, yeah, if you're interested, when you're ready, I'll be here for you. Like, I'm not going to push you. Like, I'm not one of those salespeople. And I'll say, I'm not one of those salespeople. I'm not going to push. So when you're ready, you just let me know, you reach out to me, which is okay. But it doesn't help. It might not help them, right? Depends on what their goal is and what they need. Like the story that you always tell, right? The person on the ledge holding on for dear life, and their business is their life in this instance, right? Their knuckles are turning white, and they're like, he reached over, like, hey, can I help you? Can I give you a hand? And they're like, no, I'm good, I'm okay. It's like that whole thing, and then like, oh, are you sure? You're like, yeah, no, I'm okay. And then like, okay, and you walk away, and what happens? They fall off, right? But maybe we're going about it the wrong way. Like, hey, is there something I can give you? Do you need do you need a rope? Do you need like some glove? Can I give you what can I? Just like asking the right questions and stuff. And so it was kind of getting back to, yeah, so the elements that you put into asking the right questions, the NLP type stuff into the sales and marketing and all of that, like it makes it a difference. Because the things you teach, I think there are like certain standards or a baseline for marketing and stuff like that, right? Like there's certain things that you do that you can do that are repeatable, but there's the way you bring it and the way you teach it on top of all of the NLP stuff that you integrate with it. Like it's powerful. And I think once people see it, they're just like, oh my gosh, man. And people have said, I've heard people say this, like, I wish I would have known this years ago. Like nobody's ever taught me this before. Like it's always been the broiler room or whatever, type stuff. And so it makes sense when you bring it all together. It's more, this is actually perfect. It's a more holistic approach to business and life and to strategies and tactics. And it's the holistic approach, which you're all about, man. So.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and thanks for sharing all that. So brings me, my next question is popping in my head is like, so what are you most excited about next with our company? Like, what gets you the most excited?
I think with all the changes that we've done this year, like, and making some digital products and getting those ready to launch, the ability to help more people, and even focusing our wow clients even more than what we had before, right? Just adding like a little bit of, the socially conscious, because that's ever since I found out about what like socially conscious business is, whether we want to call those, B Corps or just, I like to say, people who are using their business and themselves for a force for good, right? Since I found out about that, like that's been like my goal, is to help those, I have a company that's kind of on pause right now, right? The Wander Working experience. That's about it's a travel while you work experience, but I wanted to be geared towards socially conscious entrepreneurs, professionals, C-level executives, all that stuff. And so what I'm really excited about is that we're focusing on more of those people, and that our reach and the possibility of reaching way more people than we have is becoming greater and closer for us to, like, to grab. And that really excites me, because I think not just entrepreneurs and business owners are the future and can change the world, but I think socially conscious entrepreneurs and business owners are going to change the world for a better, because they're more aware of their impact on the environment. They're more aware of the impact on the people they get their resources from. They're more aware of the impact of their own people that work within the companies, their vendors. Like, it's that holistic approach, and they're wanting to do business in a way that's not just good for the bottom line, but it's good for the planet, it's good for people, it's good for the animals, the plants, like everything. And so that really excites me. And I can keep talking about it, but that's
Yeah.
the most excited about it. Yeah.
And that is, just to be really clear, and that's been my approach for many years. Like when I found when I saw companies that I did not see them doing good for the world, I if I was working with them and I didn't know, then I would stop working with them. And so this has kind of been my mantra, but to bring it like full out in our language, in what we do, that now I say we typically work with socially conscious companies that that are entrepreneurs, C-level executives, coaches, consultants that have found success, but they don't have the life that they want. And then we bring in the business systems to have more business while we design our ideal life and have more life. So more business, more life is our trademark without sacrifice. And that is where we're going to change the world, because if we're helping people that are changing the world and helping people, then we're multiplying the ripple.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I was going to sneeze, but I didn't sneeze. Look at that. It is, and that's what we've already been able to do. Like, our clients are making a difference in the world, and also with our mission is, our core purpose is to help companies work less than 40 hours a week, have more revenue than ever before, pay everyone more, let everyone in the company take more holidays. And when I say work less than 40 hours a week, I mean everyone in the company, not just the top executives, everyone. And when you do that, what we found already, we've already done this with dozens of companies, that they are more productive. They're actually breaking revenue goals. Before we went through what we're going through right now in 2020, we had one client in 18 months double their revenue using this model, and having some of their staff members break the 6-figure mark that never had done that before. And they got to buy houses, and they're just being able to live the life that they want while the company is growing. So we're proving this model, and our goal is to document this with my filmmaking background, so that over the next 3 years, going into 2023, 2024, that we will have 1,000 companies that we can document from all different kinds of industries, proving that we can live and work in a different way. And this is so in itself, what we're doing with our company is a huge contribution to the world. And, I think the reason that we want to go so aggressive and get to 1,000 in 3 years is because in 10 years, we want to get to 100,000 companies. I'd like to see this impact in my lifetime. Yes, we're creating a legacy here, and we're duplicating ourselves so that this can continue on past us. But you and I think this is why we align so well. We care so much, and we want to see this change now in our lifetime.
Yeah. Fully agree, man.
It's big, and we get to do this, and we get to have fun doing it. I mean, that's the other thing, is like fun is a big part of our core values as well. To me, joy is an indicator that we're on the right path. If things get like really ugly, then we're probably going down the wrong path. So we could probably come back to this, but I'm also curious, while we have this time together and so folks can get to know you, but now that you're so focused on this, you're part of our company together, we're building this, it wasn't always like this though. So if you can go back, maybe just share a little bit of what it was like before. And then I'm curious, when was the biggest turning point? Just so we can just kind of examine your journey just a little bit for a moment.
Oh man. Yeah. So going back, so I've always worked dead end jobs, right? Like just 9 to 5 customer service from for the longest time I can remember, you know, from when I first was able to work. And then even after college, same kind of thing. Just went found like a higher paying tech job support, you know, on the phone. I just couldn't do it anymore. And then so about 6 years ago, my wife, then girlfriend, got a job out here in California, and I was like, hey. I was just starting like my photography, like I was just starting photography, and I was like, hey, maybe I would like to try and make this a business. And she, thank goodness, she was so amazing and like allowed me to like pursue this, because like, yeah, new state, we knew nobody. Like it was just the three of us, her and our dog, and like I literally knew nobody here. And so I didn't even know what the Chamber of Commerce was. I didn't know what a networking group was. None of that stuff. And so we came out here. I had no clue how to run a business. I think like the second week or so, I like figured out how to file papers for a business, like for sole proprietorship and like all this other stuff. I was like building the plane and flying at the same time, right?
Right.
I didn't have an engine. Maybe had like a little wing, or you know, it was interesting. And so once I found out about the Chamber of Commerce and networking groups, like, okay, like I got to do this, right? And so I was going to networking meetings. I was trying to find all the networking meetings I could. You know, it's like an hour and a half, like, you know, per meeting. And then I got in with the San Mateo Chamber of Commerce, and like I became their like unofficial photographer. So like I wasn't getting paid or anything like that, but it was giving me more forward-facing, you know, publicity, I guess, if you will, because I'm at all the events, exposure. Yeah, I'm at the events taking photos. You know, I'm always the guy with the camera walking around, you know. And so, like, I was just doing that, and like, it's a lot of time. Which, I mean, when you're first starting out, right? If you don't have money, what do you have? You have time. So I was just spending time, and it was a lot of time. And that's how I actually meeting you at one of the events. I think it was one of the chamber events, or a networking group thing, and. Yeah, and then I heard your message, man. I was like, oh, there's a different way, and you know, there's like even like finding out wow clients and not taking on like just any client. Definitely leaving the owl clients like pushing them away. Like I would say push them away. Like, you know, not just leave them, but like push them away. Like get them out of the way. It's like if you have a line of people, you want the line free and clear of the wow clients and push those owl away, man. Because the more space you have for those wow to come through, the easier it is for them to come through. Anyway, so yeah, so it was just like a lot of hustle of just, you know, time hustle.
Yeah.
And where I'm at now, it's like, honestly, like I haven't advertised my photography business, you know, like it's just word of mouth, using some things that you've taught me, you know, about just even asking questions. Like every client that schedules with me answers a questionnaire essentially. And they're all questions that you've taught me, and it just helps things go smoother. And then, you know, I have good experiences, and so people write reviews, and so like I have raving fans, right? Like, so I'm fortunate enough, like business just kind of keeps coming in by itself. And now working with you, I don't have to put too much attention on that, and that's still kind of running. And then I get to focus more with you and help you grow and help this cause and everything just get bigger and bigger. And so, and then even on this time, like still kind of having, I know this is kind of goes against one thing you teach, and I struggle with it. The bridges. I sometimes have too many bridges.
One thing to win.
One thing to win. But it all, for me, they all tied in together, right? So the companies that I have going or starting tie in with the message and the cause that you're doing here, right? It's helping socially conscious entrepreneurs. And so it's all moving towards the same kind of end goal. It's about the life, right? One of the things I'm doing is more geared towards the health aspect of it, right? Because like you said, what does it matter if you're the richest person in the world, but you don't have the energy to do anything?
Right. And that's the holistic approach that you're talking about, because ultimately we do a lot of that here. When you start getting into our mentorship level or the things that we're doing, then we talk a lot about how do we take care of ourselves. So I think it's spot on. And even the wander working that you brought up, you and I've already talked about this.
Yeah.
Probably the best thing is to kind of merge all that in. And, as the world opens up and we can start to travel again, then we're, our higher end clients that want to travel with us and go spend 30 days in another country. Those are things that you and I are going to be able to collaborate on even more, the way that we're building a relationship. And then it is one thing, then we're taking all these ideas. And, just to be clear, when we say one thing, and just even for you, Jovanni, is that it doesn't mean have only one business. Many people have multiple businesses, but only focus on one. Give like 80 to 90% of your time towards one at a time. Which one are you going to build and put the focus on is going to serve you? That's one thing. I made a ton of mistakes, and I'll tell you, I'm even embarrassed to say I did it multiple times, even being aware of some of the times towards the end that I was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing the same thing again. But at least I was starting to notice it. And then that helped me learn past it. But many people, when I was a young entrepreneur, they're like, many streams of income, multiple streams. You have to have that. And you know what? That is true. That does give strength. And some people, even when I saw seminars, they would have like pillars holding up a roof. And then it was like, do you want one pole holding up your house, or do you want more poles holding up your house? And of course you want more poles. So then I started building all those. But you know what? No one told me. And I guess I was at the wrong workshops or whatever, but none of them said build one at a time. And I was like building them all. And then they were all half built. And then I was like suffering, and, and I'm a tall guy. So like my house was really low, and I broke my back because I had to lean over because I couldn't get my house tall enough, because I didn't let one of the columns get tall enough to hold me. And that is obviously a metaphor, but I also at that time did have back pain. My lower back pain is pretty much gone. I used to have chronic back pain and throw my back out. That was from stress. Oh my gosh, because I was trying to spin all these plates. And so anyway, to that point, Jovanni, it's beautiful, all the creativity you have, and that they're all in one combo thing. It is all of that, helping people and helping them in a holistic way, as you said those words, with their energy, with the way that they live and work. And so it's beautiful to see all these things come together, and that you even have the opportunity now to have your businesses run on autopilot in different ways, and be able to have multiple streams and not be working 90 hours on each one of them.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I said, with like photography, I honestly don't spend any time on it. Like, and it's like it's just kind of going by itself. And even with like COVID and everything happening, I guess slowed down. But now that things are slowly starting to open back up, like just starting to come in again. So yeah, I'm very fortunate and very grateful, and I'm glad that I have more opportunity to work like with you in a bigger capacity, and really, like, that's been my biggest thing. Like, just like all the documentaries I've been watching, and just noticing myself going outside, and I just see all the trash. So the environment's really important to me. Like outdoors, I love hiking. I love being just in nature, and like I cringe. I put my hands in a fist when I see trash everywhere, and just like it's so frustrating for me. And so like if we can help companies and professionals, entrepreneurs who are trying to stop or mitigate like pollution and all this other stuff, like that's amazing. Because yes, as a person we can do so much, right? Like we can, like I can go out and pick up, and I've done that before, pick up trash like while I'm walking my dog, and that's good. And we need a better system, like single, it's going to get, I guess, semi-political, I guess, but like single-use plastic, right, is horrible for our environment, for everything, because like we use it once and it's thrown away. And unfortunately here in the United States, so many people either believe or think somebody else is going to take care of it, and when they throw it away in their trash, that it just magically disappears, and it doesn't. It goes to a landfill, or sometimes it doesn't even make it, to like a landfill, and it hurts me, like it hurts my soul. And like if I can help people who are also working towards stopping all of that and getting rid of it and making changes for the better, like man, it's that ripple effect, right? That you say, it's just like dropping the little pebble in the pond and like just go in and out. So we can help more and more people who are conscious about all this stuff and help them. Because I think sometimes either socially conscious companies or founders have like a limiting belief, like, oh, I can't be conscious and make a profit. Like, what is it? Raj Sisodia's book, Firms of Endearment, are showing that. And I think one of our past podcast guests, Megan French Dunbar, talked about the book from Raj Sisodia, Firms of Endearment, just showing that these conscious companies were outperforming long-term the S&P 500, right?
Right.
And there's more and more proof showing that the more we kind of care about the environment and people and the whole process, the better it is for business. And so
it's so important, and then even like, my kids were very aware, and we go. And so even recently, I don't remember when, I guess maybe it might be within the last year or something, but my kids went and saw a recycle facility, and every one of them is different, like county to county. You have to like watch what your facilities are doing. But, they had the sad fact that, like, I think it was less, I don't quote me on this, but I want to say it's not good. Less than 40% of the stuff was actually able to be recycled. So even when you put it in the recycle bin, then it goes to the recycle facility. And then they're showing my kids as they did the tour, they're like, yeah, we can't recycle this, we can't recycle that. And then my kids were like, oh, how come? And it's because, well, there's no market for that. No one will buy that. No one set up a facility to like melt that down and then like reuse it. So we don't know what to do with that. So we have to throw that back out, and so you like, and even if it says, oh, this can be recycled on the actual thing, that may be true that it can be recycled, but are people actually recycling? It's a whole different story. And, and so that is a whole nother segment. And this is where entrepreneurs can come in and actually earn money. And this is where these B Corps come in, where you can like take something that's someone else's garbage and then turn it into something that can be reused. And we need more companies like that, because there are materials that other people haven't figured out how to recycle yet or what to do with it. And then that is important as well. So even when you think like you said, people think that others are going to just take care of it, we have to be conscious of that. And that's why we're trying to cut, some of these things out of our life period, so that we can say, you know what, we're not going to use this because it may or may not be recycled, even if it is that we're doing the right thing, putting it in the recycle bin, and then we're looking for someone else to take care of that. It may or may not work. So, these things that we're conscious of, we have to make this improvement. This goes back to our legacy, right? Like that, where is the world going, and how are the companies that we're working with, because we're good at what we do. We help people. We help people live a better life, have a better business, and all those things. So why in the world would we do that with companies that are hurting the planet or people that live here? And so, we're firm on this. That's not acceptable. It's not even like a hope. Like, if we're working with you, then you're making a difference with people or the planet, and that's it, period. That's it.
Agreed.
That's it. Well, and that's one of the reasons where you and I align again. Like, how many layers of alignment do we have? It's amazing. That's why we're here and we're enjoying our life together and doing this. And it is like wow team. Like, we talk about wow clients, but it's also wow team, like people that you want to spend, like your clients, you end up spending a lot of time with your team, your staff members, you spend a lot of time with. Like, might as well make them wow. Like, I often tell people, people go, wow, hiring takes so much time and I have to like really look at who I want to work with. I'm like, well, yeah. Can you imagine getting married at like for the first person you go on a first date with? Like, I hope it's a good person. Like, shoot, like, you're going to live together, like these things happen. And we need to realize what we're getting into. And so, and I just want to say, you are wow, brother. Like, this is a wow team and you're wow, brother. So I appreciate you. And I know we only have like a few minutes left on here, but I'm curious. I want to go back. One thing I'm curious about, I want to go back to the moment you decided, okay, not only, I just want to repeat back what you said, and then I really want to hear your answer. okay, so you're working these jobs, you know, you're sick of it, you're in a different state, so you're like, oh, let me just move to another state, I don't know anybody else, plus I'm going to start a company, I don't know how to start a company. Like, what allowed you to do that? Like, were you freaked out, or you're just like, oh, I'm going to do it, and if it doesn't work, I'll do something else? Like, how?
Yeah.
Because so many people, the reason I want to pick on this, and then I'll let you answer, so many people think about these things, but they don't do it. Like, what allowed you to make that decision and just go for it?
It's funny, man. I'm trying to say it without me like putting myself down and making it sound like I'm putting myself down. But I think that I just wasn't smart enough to know that I should be worried to not do it.
So like there was no comprehension of being worried. You're like, oh, I'm just going to do this.
I really think it is. Like, I think I've always, once I kind of figured like, okay, you know, working for somebody like, or working for a business that I'm not aligned with, you know, once I kind of figured that out, and I was like, well, what are my options? All right. You know, I thought it was like, I had to go to school or something like that. And I did the school thing, and I was like, okay, I wasn't happy with the job. Right. So then I went like, okay, maybe I need to go back to school. And I was going to school for, what was it called? Communications and psychology. Because I really love psychology. Before even NLP, I just love like, why do we do what we do? And so I was doing that, and then, you know, just all this stuff like photography kind of came in, and I was like, man, if I can get paid to take photos, like that'd be amazing. And I had just done a study abroad in Spain. It's like really like solidified. Like I was just walk out and there's like a protest going on every day or some kind of festival. And so I was just like taking photos of things. I'm like, this is amazing. When I came back to the States, I'm like, okay, if there's a way I can get paid for this. So I found a way, right? It's like, just happened, like, I think it was like Craigslist. Somebody was looking, a photo collective was looking for a intern. It's like, oh, okay, I'll apply. I got it. And we just started learning from them, and then kind of started doing these, they call them Test Shoot Tuesdays, and started doing studio work. I didn't want to do studio. I wanted to do like travel photography, right? Like I wanted to be out traveling the world, which everybody does now is just Instagram, right? Just wanted to be Instagram photographer. Right. This was before I think Instagram was really big.
Yeah.
And just starting to come, but like I wanted to do the travel photography, like I think his name's Steve McCurry, is a really awesome photographer. He took the photo of the Afghan girl that was on the cover of National Geographic's, and like super popular photo. So anyway, so like I just kind of go do things. I'm like, hey, that sounds fun, and I just do it. So like when we moved out here, it's like, well, I don't want to work. Like I don't want to find another dead end job. I'm going to be miserable. And so, like I said, my wife and girlfriend, she was very gracious, and I'm so much gratitude and love and appreciation that she allowed me to do that. Like, or else I wouldn't be here. I think I would be miserable and like just stuck somewhere doing something I hate. And so like I think I just didn't know any better. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll just try this. Like I think I just do that. I'm like, yeah, I'll try this, and just like figure it out. And I do give myself credit now. Like I am a smart person. I used to think I was stupid, and like I was in resource classes, like when I was in junior high and elementary and stuff like that, you know, remedial classes or whatever, you know, to help me. I was semi-dyslexic and like all this stuff. Because I thought this was stupid. I was a slow learner, all these things, which I come to find out is like actually not true. I love learning. Like I'm literally learning every single day. Like I love just finding something new. I love whether it's with business or simple as bird watching. Like, what kind of bird is that? Like, I'll Google it. Okay, my God, that's cool. Like I love learning now, and I think, you know, I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to take the leap of a business, right? Like I didn't know I was supposed to have the fear of like, hey, what happens if this doesn't work? Like I wasn't aware of it, and I'm still not aware of it. Even though I'm aware of it, like it still doesn't, like, well, no, it'll work out. Like if it doesn't, I'll just figure something else out. Like I'll do something, you know?
Which is actually the better way anyway, because what are you going to do worrying about it, right?
Yeah,
And that is exactly true. What if people think that getting a job is the safe route, but what if you lose that job? What are you going to do?
yeah,
You're going to go find another job. So, hey, if photography didn't work out, you would find another way. It's actually
yeah,
the same. Like, I'm with you. That's why I've been an entrepreneur my whole adult life. And sometimes I've lost everything. And if anybody's followed me long enough, they know some of my stories. And then every time that happened, because it did happen more than once, they said, "Oh, are you going to go get a job finally?" And I'm like, "What? No, I don't. That's what I didn't know how to do. I didn't know how to go get a job. I had experienced it in my teen years, and I'm like, this is not cool for
yeah,
me. I couldn't do it, and so I didn't know any other way. Just like you're saying, you didn't know to worry. So awesome. And I know that doesn't happen for everyone, but what a lesson in it, because if those that worry about it tend to have more of the challenges, because you're almost kind of inventing the challenges in front of you. Now we're all going to have challenges, but you just deal with them as you went. And that's what it sounds like. You just like went for it, dealt with the challenges, learned, solved the problems, and kept moving forward.
yeah,
So
yeah. Even if it's just a baby step forward, you're still moving forward. Like it's tough. I mean, it is tough, right? So for you listening, if you're in a transition phase or whatnot, like just taking the leap is like the biggest thing, and then just taking a one step forward. Just like, and like I said earlier, you literally can find out how to do anything online in seconds. Like it's insane, and like in my personal opinion, there's very, very few excuses to not be able to learn something and find out how to do something, especially if you're a business owner. If you're a business owner, like there's no excuse. And one of the best ways is getting a mentor, right? Like that's what I did. Like things weren't, okay, I got to a certain point, but things weren't happening as fast as I'd like or whatnot. What I do? I found a mentor, not on purpose, but I found a mentor. And as you say to everybody, I would say the same thing. Find somebody who's already doing what you want to do, and reach out to them, follow them, become a mentee of theirs, and figure it out. No matter what it is in life, whether it's a business, whether it's a hobby, always find somebody who's better at it than you. I'll leave with this: is I used to dance Latin dances, salsa, bachata, and stuff like that. And I remember one of my teacher, my instructor, my mentor of salsa would always say, dance with people who are better than you, because that's the only way you're going to get better. Because if you dance with people who are at the same level as you or below you, you're never going to learn, and you're never going to get past the stage that you're at. So she'd always say, dance with people who are way better than you, like out of your league. Dance with them, because they're going to show you in that one dance what it might take you a year to learn with dancing with average people. And I would say the same thing with any mentor. Find a mentor who's going to help cut down that time, whether it's a month, a year, 12 years, 10 years, whatever. Like find somebody who's going to help you cut down that time, because there's no point of reinventing the wheel and trying to go from scratch, right? Like there's just no point of it. And just stand off the shoulders of people who've already been there, right? And they're willing to help and get you to the next level, because then that just helps humanity go to the next level, right? As we're always just helping each other get to the next level, like we all rise.
it's so
So
amazing, brother. It is. A beautiful, beautiful thing. And I would definitely say this has been an amazing conversation, and this is definitely what why we're working together, and and I and what we're doing to guide others so that we can help them through whatever situation they're in and living their purpose to help people and the planet. And this conversation has been so amazing. So I and I'm just amazed. And the one thing I forgot in this whole podcast, what we didn't say is like what you're doing with the company. But you've done a lot of things off and on with me, and then now having you as like really coming on in a big way with the company as just to say our program director. So Jovanni is heading up all of our client value journey, looking at all the things that we do with the clients so that we can manage all of that, and then helping the programs on the front facing or the public side with all of our shows, including this show. He helps me produce this and our guests for the podcast. So the More Business, More Life podcast, More Business, More Life TV, and many of our social media channels. So I'm so appreciative, amongst other things, and all the other adventures that we're doing, from like wander working or other things that we're going to do together. There's so much, and we didn't even scratch the surface on this conversation. So I'm sure that we'll have you on another podcast, as you've already been on this show before. But I appreciate you being here, both in the company and on this show today. Thank you so much, Jovanni.
Hey, thank you for being who you are, man, and doing what you're doing. I wouldn't be here.
Well, I'm sure you'd be here on this planet.
Physically, I'd be a person. I wouldn't be in the company.
Yeah, you would be a person still. Yeah, but here and with the company. So it's beautiful. As always, remember, choose gratitude and create freedom, and we'll see you on the next show. Thanks for listening to the More Business, More Life podcast. I hope you got value. And if you did, we have so many more things for you at stevenapolitan.com. You'll be able to connect with us on social media. We are active. You can ask us questions. And then on top of that, I want to give you a really big gift. And it truly is. We want to give so much value. We have an offering. It's a program called Clear Path to Customers. It's the same way that we attract wow clients, and only working with the right people, the people we want to. And it's transformed my business into millions more in revenue with the right people and my clients. And we're doing it absolutely free. So you can go to stevenapolitan.com and grab that. You just got to put in your information. We'll send it to you promptly. And that again is on stevenapolitan.com. I look forward to having you on the next show. Until then, remember, choose gratitude and create freedom.